On our way up, here's my stockpile of various things that I can use and probably will use, or ultimately will scrap them if I can't use them. But I'm going through a lot of them. I've used up, as I think I maybe said, most of my lumber, which I had stacked on top of the hill. That is the moot point, is what I call it. The very top of the hill. I call it a moot point because I imagine that here you could have a moot. We've had many, many bonfires here. And I think I'm going to build temporary. It won't be permanent. But I'm going to make it in such a way that a sort of almost a temple can be constructed here. If somebody wanted to get married and they wanted to get married in a pretty place, they could do it here. More permanent will be a fountain. And the whole thing, I think I'm going to dedicate it to earth, wind, fire, and water. That's why these funny looking blocks are there, to take the thrust from what I would build. Alright, the mountain. Much of what you're looking at is owned by my sister and my brother-in-law. They love to hunt up there. Over there is where I started my Prospectus. You can hear an interstate in the distance. What you're looking at now, those pines, they're owned by my cousin, and she and her husband live, you can't see it now, but they lived right at the top of this hill, not the mountain in the distance, but the hill. Everything that my cousin and my sister owned and I now once belonged to my grandfather. 600 acres he had, and then my mother and father had 300. Now my wife and I have 37, but it's the 37 that I'm showing you. I can bring water from the mountain to between those, well, to where those pallets are by gravity, but then to lift it up to here, it'll take wind. It'll take something to assist it, but I think that would be an excuse to build a small windmill just for pumping water. Now there are piles of wood around here still, but by far I have used most of it, and by the end of this winter I think I will have used or moved all of it, so it will once be quite a bare hilltop. For pasture, not only pasture but also fields. I should explain about that. Oh yeah, I probably should. Between here and the trees down there, that's my best chance at being actually able to grow field crops. The soil is terrible. It's been iron mined, but I still think I can do it. And then below here, the steep side there, I also think I can do something there in the line of an orchard or a vineyard or something. It'd be too steep to farm. We can go over and look. There's that same pond that you saw at the beginning of this series of videos, and along this steep side, which was iron mined and bulldozed. I think this actually was once a cliff, and a lot of the soil that's on it just wants to slide on down it. A real challenge, but I think I still can do something. I'm sure I can. It'll be a challenge maybe for woofers eventually when I'm ready to help me to do that. Down in there was a complex that had to do with the mining, and it's going to really take some study to figure out what really was there. I've begun to think of this as the east campus of my archaeology school, because that will take much study. Water starts back in there just at the edge of the woods and comes along on a contour, and then it drops above that apple tree with the ladder on it, and works its way on to where I was standing at the very beginning of this filming. An old hunter once referred to that road as the tram road. I'd never heard that before, and I'd asked him, what did you call it? Tram road, and why? He said, well, that's what we always called it. I've regarded that as archaeological information, data. And I don't know if there was rails not so sure about that, but the road goes out through. I knew of its existence, I just didn't know it was ever called that. And this would begin this archaeological site. Elsewhere in my course, I devoted about a week to the archaeology of this property, which maybe I'll find and put on here as a link. There is something right here where you're looking. I don't know what it is, a foundation of some kind. That's where I've come from, up on that hill, and then I came down through those woods. And this is the area, it's the wildest part of the whole property of our 37 acres. I dare say of the 600 acres that my grandfather once had. It's going to take a flock of goats, a small flock of goats, and time to sort this out. But there are foundations here. That road arrived. I suspect there might have been some water wheels. There might have been ore washing done. These old apple trees are indicative of possibly a house. I mean, that's why I've come to think of this. At one point I thought, well, I want to let archaeology or let universities know that this is here as a site to explore. But then I changed my mind. I thought, you know, I'll just call it my own school. And as I'm able to, I'll begin to sort it out. Maybe I'll get some help. There's enough here. All right, we're going to go over there and back up to where I started. Down in there is the area that I say is to be discovered, the Frank School of Archaeology. There's a confluence of streams right there, and a minecart track or narrow gauge railroad ran up through here. But I've discussed that elsewhere under Forgotten Village of Conemaugh or something. I'll give you the link. You might enjoy the walk, so I'll film a little bit as I walk. This was a favorite place of mine as a boy. So exciting to be at the top of a cliff. That was the closest to a cliff that we had here. Evidence of the iron mining. And here we are back where I started at Prospectus Part 1. These look a little different, not too different. Now you should go find your car. Bye for now.